And good evening, everybody. And yes, I see one of my children is giving me grief for being a little late. 2 hours later. Alright, so let me go ahead and read off the people in the chat. Papa Hud69, sorry, the bird will not be here. Scheduling conflicts. Arturo, Shinobi1, Sal Sandoval, Trey Chester, Sergeant British Carver Guy, Jesse, King Hissy, Torque, Kali, Clay, Aquamarine, John Clawfield, Fearless Wolf, Volcanic Torchlight, hello from Antarctica, hello from Texas, Vintage Weave 82, The Child, The Shadow Channel. Let's see here. Anybody else that I did not say? Retro Blasting, how's it going? And SD. Alright, so, Toon Logic Studios, good to see you too. Alright, so, here's the thing. As any of you who have been paying attention to this channel know, I am always critical of product, and I'm especially critical of product that sits around $50 to $60, claiming to be ultimates, and claiming to be Thundercat products. Now, I've done 2 reviews of Ultimate Waves. I did Wave 1 and Wave 3. I recently got in Wave 2, and I got Wave 4 a little bit before that. So far, they have delivered on the first 4 waves. But every single wave has had issues. Every single wave has had issues, but none as bad as Wave 2. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail because I'm going to do a video on it. It's going to be very similar to Wave 3's video, so it's going to be a lot of editing to it. Hopefully be more entertaining. But Wave 2 seems to have broken the camel's back on a lot of situations because you think the QC issues for Wave 1 were bad with Panthro's miscolored trunks, the not fixed peg on Lionel's hip? Wave 2 is worse. What do I mean by that? Of course, there's color problems, obviously, but there's also paint problems. Like, I don't have the images on screen because I want to wait for the review, but my Pumaira, like everybody's Pumairas, shins are inverted to where they're on the wrong leg. She has a massive splotch. I don't mean a little speck. A massive splotch of glopped on red paint on the back of her shin. Groon's shoulders are backwards on every figure. The Thundercat logo on Groon's alternate chest is poorly painted. Let's see here. Mumra is a complete and utter mess with paint splotch issues. He cannot lift his shoulders all the way. That's a production issue in the sense of the sculpt that they used didn't have that ability either. And of course, people complain. Rightfully so. Despite some people saying, well, at least they're doing something. No. Doing something does not automatically make it better than doing nothing in the sense of people dropping money for your products. So, the worst part is, when Wave 1 had issues, Toy Bro came to me, asking for how Super 7 can improve because Super 7 asked him how they can improve. And he said he couldn't think of anybody better to go to. And I gave Brian that doggone list. Clearly didn't listen. So now people are pissed. 2 years. 2 years people waited for this wave. And the worst thing about all of it, Tigra has an elbow pad on his right arm. It was shown in the prototype sculpt. It was shown as being what was going to go to the factory. The Tigra that comes out does not have that elbow pad. Now, keep in mind, Wave 1, he did the oops pack to try to correct his mistakes, which, of course, there's nothing about that pack that can actually correct the issues. What has Brian done about Wave 2, which is far more of a mess? To make it a point, I ordered through a Big Bad Toy Store because I'm not going to give Brian my money up front to wait 2 years for a product. When I talked to Big Bad Toy Store, telling them my product issues, you know what they've been saying? They are very unhappy with Super 7 right now. To the point to where when you put in an issue ticket, essentially telling them you have a problem, they're not even telling you to send the toy back. They're just issuing refunds altogether. So, from Big Bad Toy Store's perspective, they order product from Super 7. They wait for the product to arrive after paying up front for it. At least as far as I know. I could be wrong on that aspect. They get the container in, they sort it, they package it, they ship it, and now after all that work has been done, inundated, phone calls, emails, again and again and again and again and again, with problems with every figure. And if you find somebody who says theirs doesn't have one, they're not paying attention. I can almost promise that. Whether it be a loose joint, bad paint, and again, 2 figures have specific mold issues in terms of how they're assembled, like Groon's shoulders and Pumaira's shins. There is not one that has that corrected. Not a one. Not a one. So, longtime toy shills the Whoosh decided they would interview Brian Flynn. We got to talk about the Super7's. We got to talk about more Ultimates. We got to generate more hype. I am not the worst opponent Brian Flynn has. The worst opponent Brian Flynn has looks at him in the mirror every morning. The man does not know how to talk to his customers. This man does not know how to be truly open and does not know how to stop lying to people. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into the Whoosh interview. Probably not going to go through the full thing. Let me see if I want to find the right spot. I don't need the intro. Aha. We're going to skip right to the Thundercats. Let me know if we have any audio issues here. All right?
Like Cheetara leaves the factory this week.
Oh, and don't worry. We're going to get into Cheetara because, oh, man, she's got issues.
This week.
This week, Cheetara leaves the factory.
Oh, hype.
That also means that it's 90 days before I'll get it into a warehouse.
But she's leaving this week, and I was going to ask about her, but I'll pull it up now. Have you seen the final product? Did you guys get across what you were hoping to?
I want you all to be aware, because I'm going to pull this up in my review. The final product is nowhere near as good in paint and sculpt as the prototype, and I don't know how they keep screwing this up.
I probably should have been organized ahead of time.
This idiot came onto a stream and talked about his products while having no organization. You're going to see how bad this man is about this in just a minute.
Look who you're talking to.
Let me see if I can grab one. Hold on.
Okay.
This is a plan. It's either here or it's at Josh's house. Hold on.
This man came onto a stream to talk about Cheetara and other Super 7 products while not having it on hand. Brian is either really freaking stupid or didn't think anybody asked about it. Thank you, Laser Pants, for the $5 super chat. Hype. Yes, hype. We must be hyped here. We cannot be critical. I do nothing positive.
I bet you Robo's going to clean this all up so you're not just stuck here looking at me like this, because who wants to do that, right?
All right, so here's the empty shipper.
All right.
Because Johnny the photographer has it, so we can take a picture and say, hey, everybody, it's coming.
This moron went into the stream without making sure he had a copy of this figure. I'm going to talk about my product and not show it to you. And then I'm going to say, well, it's Johnny. You didn't have 2? You made the doggone thing. Why don't you have more of them laying around?
Awesome.
Josh is actually up here today, so he was going downstairs to check the advanced warehouse and see if they had another sample.
Oh,
so we may get a guest visit from Josh here in a moment.
Well, that's always a good thing. Joshy on the spot. We appreciate that.
But while it's sad trumpet for everybody here, you can't.
Yeah, Brian has a bad tendency of thinking he's funny. Aren't I clever and quirky, guys? No. You're a sad old man who sold out a long time ago and you have no problem lying to people.
See Cheetara's revised hips in this. It is leaving the factory this week. It is due to leave on Friday. She is finally done.
That's awesome because, I pay attention to your guys' new and very handy Ultimates update page.
Yes, Veeb, I know that you have your lips directly on his sphincter. We get it.
Which is great, so dorks like me don't have to corner you every time we talk about where specifically is this.
Avatar Machiro, thank you for the $5 super chat. Wow, Brian is so professional. He has no figures at hand. Fantastic. Also, Lyle, I'm sorry they did this with Thundercats. Honestly, a lot of Thundercat fans disagree because they're toy-addicted maniacs, but I'd rather have no Thundercats than bad Thundercats.
This exact figure, but I thought she only moved to production a couple of weeks ago on there, so this is a pleasant
It
surprise.
probably got updated late.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Okay.
It is Dunzo.
Wow.
Well,
Oh, the done product is fantastically abysmal.
technically it's not Dunzo till Friday, which is why next week you'll get
Today.
an email saying it is officially left, but it is leaving.
Exciting. Well, this is awesome to get a little preview of that, and we'll come back. Hopefully
Don't care
we'll come
about
back to it.
Silverhawks,
We'll see if
so-
Josh comes through for
Well-
us. But
That's not fair. I do care about Silverhawks, but Brian now apparently owns all of Silverhawks, so I know that's going to die real quick. This man's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. All right, so we're going to skip to back to Thundercats.
itself, but it's also going to be kind of neat to coincide with another Ultimates collection that has recently kind of exploded.
Also, like, that Mumbo Jumbo looks terrible. I mean, honestly, they all generally do, because Brian has this obsession. Thank you for the super chat, Retro Blasting at $2. Super7 plus whoosh equals lies and hype, no shame at all. Yeah, that's a sad thing. But looking at these, here's the thing. Brian has an obsession with not wanting better articulation on figures, like double jointed knees, double jointed elbows, butterfly, because it ruins the sculpt. Because it breaks the sculpt. Essentially, Brian thinks action figures should just stand there statically in a single pose that does not break the sculpt. Because he doesn't know what action figures are, apparently. Despite making them for over a decade now, he doesn't understand that high-end collectors want to be able to pose their stuff dynamically. And there are other companies that charge around the same price that give you better quality stuff, like anything done by the amazing Yamaguchi. Which, by the way, I got the Spider-Gwen from that line, from the good people at Super Happy Incredible Toys, who had it in stock out of freaking nowhere. And her articulation destroys anything Super7's ever done. So guess who's being used in the comparison? Continuing.
In terms of delivery, and that's a little bit on Thundercats, because again, if my advanced mathematic calculations are correct, most collectors have gotten
Veebs, don't try to do this mathematic thing. 2 plus 2 to you equals donut.
anywhere between 8 and 10 if you count the Lion-O and Panthro reissues within the last couple of months, and it feels like the collection has suddenly exploded. From your perspective, how does it feel?
It's not that the collection's exploded, is that they finally caught up, even though, interesting, their Ninja Turtle line didn't have that issue. And before Brian does the whole, the Turtles were made at a different factory, and the Wave 2 of the Ultimates weren't, you had 2 years. 2 years. Two. You knew that would be a problem with this factory when you sent them there, because COVID was already in play. You did not change the factory. You could have, might have cost you money, but it wouldn't have been as big of an embarrassment to you, because right now, I doubt they're going to do this, but part of me really hopes they do. I hope that whatever Big Bad Toy Store has listed for pre-order is the only thing they will ever carry from you again. I genuinely hope Big Bad Toy Store, after this entire debacle, drops you completely and never sells another Super 7 product in their stores again. It'd probably never happen, but I would love it to, because I want to see you fall at this point. And I can't make you do it. You made yourself do it.
To have all this stuff delivered now.
Well, it's not all delivered because Cheetara's not there.
Cheetara,
Well,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think, through the last couple of years, anybody that's watched any of these videos, we've been fairly transparent that.
I don't disagree with you, Action Figure Expert. I know there are some that do. They should just buy statues. That's the truth of the matter. Volcanic Torchlight, I am going to be passionate about what I talk about. If that bothers you, unfortunately, you can find somewhere else to be.
The reorder on Wave 1 and Wave 2 of Thundercats were plagued with issues across the board.
Yeah, and Wave 1, by the way, after the Thunder Tank was announced, and people said, well, I didn't get a Lion-O and Panther, what am I going to do? Brian here said, well, we're going to do version 2. Version 2. We're going to do version 2s of these things. And we're going to correct some issues. I got the version 2 Lion-O in. You know what got corrected? The logo on the sword and literally nothing else. So the claw shield peg that Brian said that he would personally make sure would be fixed was still not fixed. And that's in the new factory, by the way, so he has no excuse for saying, well, I couldn't oversee it. Paint's still a problem. The new sword still doesn't fit in any of the other claw shields, save the one that you can peg onto his hip. Still has pins in it, too. He didn't fix anything. One tiny little thing, and he still charges for it. Absolute joke.
in terms of just where we were making them and the priority we were being given within the factory.
There's a difference between giving low priority and you sticking with a factory that just doesn't care. And you knew it. You knew it from wave one, and you did not care. Wave one was delivered almost 2 years ago. You're an idiot, Brian.
Yeah.
And, you know, wave three delivered before wave two did. I can't even remember right now. I think wave four on the water already?
This man literally does not remember what has actually been put to market. This is his company. His company. And he does not know. And before I get some sort of soft-hearted, mush-mouthed idiot coming here, well, you should be nicer to Brian. This isn't very professional. I never claimed to be a professional. I tell you what it is, as it is. I don't tend to run out and offend random people, but when somebody has actively mistreated something, mishandled it, and tried to lie to people while honestly swindling them, and that's not something I'd even said up until this point, you did not get what you paid for. You have never gotten what you paid for this line. And sooner or later, and by the way, I'm going to be putting this out in the video, I've got a plan of action on how to deal with that. I don't really know what's going on with the flames on Hot Wings' legs. I know that in the cartoon, he only had flames on one leg and one arm, so I'm not surprised he's not bankrupt, because a lot of other idiots are buying all the other lines.
No, wave 4 is here. It is here. It should.
Yeah, here. Yeah, I was about to say, wait, wave 4 is here. Like, you know, we've gotten pretty far, but
yeah, John, I'm not John Pintiak. I'm really not. I don't like that. I don't like the zombicide stuff. I'm tired of people trying to turn the Thundercats into full-blown furries. Thank you, Laser Pants. Brian should be nicer to his customers by giving them what they paid for. Yes. Yes. And the reason why I can't support mediocrity is because I'm paying for it.
The fact that it's taken this long to get wave 2 in people's hands is really sort of sad and problematic.
You made that choice, Brian. You know what? If we had waited a little longer and gotten something decent, something at least accurate, something that wasn't thrown together from Google image searches, we'd probably be okay with it. We would probably be okay with it. Why would you buy the Power Rangers Ultimates when Lightning Collection is right there? True. Because that's why I have a lot of the Lightning Collection Power Rangers. On top of that, I have the Figure Arts ones, which are better than both of them. It's mind-boggling the way some YouTube channels still support this clown and still to get their subpar toys. It's because they're addicted to it, and they're scared that, well, if I ask this guy some hard questions, he won't want to come back on, and I got to maintain that. You pussies. Pussies. Dark Soldier, he answers that later on, so we'll see.
But it's finally here, and that the good news is that, yes, it took forever, and when you got it, you were like, oh my God, Mumra's even bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah, and he has a bunch of paint problems, a bunch of part missing, a bunch of parts swapped. There are people that somehow have snake helmet parts that are reversed. They're going in the wrong direction. You idiot. You worthless cretin. You mush-mouthed mental infant.
And that figure is amazing.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do with Thundercats, and there's a lot more runway. And obviously, we just revealed, and it just ended with Mandora and her electrocharger, which
I don't know what it is about Brian's company, but he cannot make female figures. Like when the Cheetara issue first came out, and we found out her hips looked like somebody broke them. His first comment was, well, men probably shouldn't be talking about women's bodies. Or something along the lines about how men have preconceptions of them. Dude, just because your company cannot make female figures accurate to their show counterpart doesn't somehow mean it's our fault. Enhance your call. What does that mean?
It's the same thing. It's like, how can we get into some vehicles?
That is true, Mint, although I'm more of a Pumaira person.
Stuff that maybe doesn't cost, $450.
Right.
How can we do some smaller accessory pieces? How can we do some smaller stuff just to round out that collection even more? And that was a really cool one because Mandora's cool, but you really associate her with the electrocharger.
Yeah.
She's always on it. So
Well, they didn't make Snow Meow action figure expert because they no longer have the license to the Masters of the Universe, so they can't repurpose the Battle Cat buck. Not that it would matter, because Snow Meow wouldn't be able to have anything ride him because Snowman's legs can't move properly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that we want to do for Thundercat still. We haven't even gotten there yet. But
well, you mentioned Mandora, and she, I think she was either officially or unofficially touted as, Wave 5.5. What made her fit this time, just right, like ahead of a full Series 6 or whatever else, or was it just, we had her ready to go, so
I don't know why he's acting like he doesn't know why. The reason is why, and to quote Mr. Krabs, money!
Let's do it.
Originally, Mandora was supposed to be part of Wave 4. Sorry, Wave 5.
Wave 5.
It was supposed to be part of Wave 5, and then we started talking about adding the electrocharger and getting that vehicle put into place, and it was super cool. But then it was like,
oh, so it's enhanced your calm. Sorry, I don't do calm here. And more importantly, I'd never seen Demolition Man. I'm really worried. I have the mum around the ever living on away from Big Bad Toy Stores. What are the bad things I should look for? Paint splotches, parts missing, broken or loose articulation. Bushman, man of the hour. Glad to see you here. We've got to have money. Loon attack characters, probably. I don't know if they're going to get that far. I think that Wave 2 is damaged. Their thing is, if you look at the comments of this, like 90% of them are, what are you doing? You didn't give us what we paid for. You're giving excuses. Because we haven't even gotten to the worst part of this yet.
Now is it too much?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many figures can you, it's the same thing we've talked before. There's only so many of these figures you can afford to buy at any given time.
In fairness, SD, I'm not Clancy Brown. I'm not that skilled.
And putting out 5 figures and a vehicle at that price point, is it just too much to bite off all at once? And so we cut it down to 4 and just held on to Mandora and her electrocharger for a separate release a couple months later.
Okay.
That way it was easier to absorb or manage.
Yeah.
AKA, you got to get more people to give you money up front for something they won't see for a year and a half. Yeah, that Mandora is hideous. Like, I don't know where they're getting the idea for the facial expression, but everybody looks really mean. This dude has never watched Thundercats. Sure, I can pull up I can get it all the way up, but I don't know where else it can go. Let me check the OBS and see if I can increase it there for you. Nope, it's all the way up on OBS, too. They cut it down to 4, but all waves are 4. Correct.
Whichever way you want to talk about it.
Okay. Well, I wanted to touch on one other point because I know we kind of discussed it ahead of time too. The kind of last bit about Series 2 is that it's awesome. We've got Tigra here with us now, but as I'm sure you've heard it from every corner of
I'm well aware.
social media, the final figure did ship without his elbow pad. So I wanted
here we get into it.
To touch on that just to kind of get the perspective from you.
You should not be asking for a perspective. You should be asking for accountability. Idiot.
The perspective is, it sucks.
No.
It was supposed to be painted.
Painted? It's missing, you imbecile! It's not even there! You mush-mouth misanthrope! It's not even there!
My samples are painted.
Your samples are not the same as what we got. This idiot doesn't actually know what he's talking about. He's thinking about the fact that the elbow on Tigra is painted. He's missing the fact, even though he's been told, the elbow pad is missing. You can't just paint that on.
But this is the crux of what we've talked about from the beginning with this factory that we were using.
Yeah, it's always the factory's fault. You take no accountability. You said the reason why Jackalman's calves were switched, like the Mattel release, and why Liono's belt wasn't fixed to hold the claw shield was because, and I quote, you could not go down to the factory and double check these things because of COVID. What's your excuse now? What's your excuse now, Brian? You can travel now. You got vaxxed. What's your excuse? Oopsie poopsie, we just gave you something that we didn't have any control over, and suck it up and deal with it. Give me my money.
To make these figures, and why they were delayed a year plus longer than they were supposed to be. And, as we told everybody, like, we switched factories after this because it was so problematic. In wave 3 and wave...
You switched factories after wave 1 and said wave 2 would be in the old factory, wave 3 and 4 would be in the new one, and on. You could have switched wave 2 to it. You could have. You chose not to. It's in China, Jesse.
Wave 4 beat wave 2 to your house.
Wave 3 and 4 beat wave 2.
Because of that. And the reality is we're not working with this factory anymore, and they sort of decided they were...
Good point, Laser Pants. They don't have to go to the factory. They can receive product samples via the postal service. Well, according to him, his elbow patch painted. Brian doesn't know this property. And not only... And you know what? If that was the problem, if that was it, I understand. This man cannot feasibly, and likely cannot feasibly, be a fan of everything he makes. Lord knows when I go to work, I'm not a fan of everything I put out. I'm not a fan of everything I transport. But he can rely on other people who know. And he has the ability to talk to Thundercat fans. He just doesn't care. And that's what I've been trying to get across for every review I've done of anything this man's put out for Thundercats. He does not care. And you've got to stop eating the slop. If he puts that trash out and you keep picking it up, just mangle it down your throat, you get what you deserve. I buy the Thundercats Ultimates because I am the only person at this point that is going to give it an objective review. I will not sugarcoat it. I will not give passes. I will not play apologia for this worthless moron. I'm going to tell you the truth about these figures from a Thundercat fan's perspective. Not from a random action figure fan. Not from a guy who saw the intro when he was 5 and that's all he remembers from it. I know this show, and I will tell you what's wrong with them. I'm the only one who does this. It's the only reason why I buy these things. Because I know nobody else isn't going to. Dan's not going to. Toy Bro's not going to. Because they're bought and paid for. Heck yeah, they should hit up Bushman. That man knows what he's doing. And he can go to the factory and check for them.
Done. And it's not that we knew, it's just the figure showed up and that wasn't painted.
You want to know who would do a better job, Jesse? Figma, Figuarts, Rovoltech. Let's see here. Technically, NECA could. Like, the Teen Turtle line, or Toon Turtle line, has some QC issues in terms of some of the plastics they use occasionally. Oddly enough, I've never had one break on me before. But, well, not really break. But their Toon line, in terms of accuracy, is beautiful. They literally look like they pop out of the screen. What's the term Jobby uses? The Roger Rabbit effect? McFarlane's got good pricing, but nah, I wouldn't want McFarlane to do it. And that car at the price too, correct. For $55, you can get a 2-pack of Ninja Turtle figures that have multiple heads, hands, weapons, and set pieces of all things. For what this man charges for an alternate head, a couple of accessories, and a few hands. Thank you. It is giving me first-hand embarrassment. I'd love to see loyal subjects get the license. Actually, you know what? The best action figure line, I have the Turtles. They're god-awful. They are literally the worst turtle toys I have ever handled. And I plan on doing a review of them this month, since it's Merchandise May here. Like, I have the Rise figures, which didn't translate well into like a 3D object. They're still better than the BST ones. Hasbro's got enough problems. They're about to price range again because, well, we don't have a Russian market anymore, so we're going to put that on our American customers.
And there's kind of not much we can do about it. That's not an answer probably people...
You're paying these factories, but there's not... What do you control, Brian? Other than your nonsense on streams, what do you control? Do you have somebody wipe for you, too?
Want to hear, but it's like my sample, my advanced sample.
Yes, SD, I do remember Toy Biz Spider-Man Classics. I had a few of them myself when I was younger.
Sample is fine. It's got
Venkman, man, that line is so deep right now. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I could try starting with the original Turtle toys, but like, there's so many of them now.
Painted pad, and the orange is a little more dull. You know, it's knocked back a little bit, not immensely, but it's knocked back some.
I like the color on the final one. Honestly, it looks like the animation.
The color for the suit, his outfit, you're right, looks like the animation. Although why he has skid marks on his butt and his abs is anybody's guess. And on top of that, the yellow is too saturated on his face, doesn't match the rest of his body, and the orange is like neon bright orange. They screwed up on the colors.
It's a hair bit brighter than we wanted it to be, or more saturated. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Why didn't you check? Why didn't you ask for final copies before approving and letting it go into full production? Why don't you check anything?
It's still very...
Keep in mind, we also told Brian like 2 years ago that the head sculpt on Tiger is inaccurate, and he just completely ignored it. Completely. Like, he literally ignored it. And here's the thing. We're going to get into Cheetara here when we're done with this section, which thankfully isn't much longer. When people brought up the lack of articulation, Brian flat out said that he makes figures for him. This is his interpretation how he wanted it would be. Brian, I know you are a self-deluded, egocentric narcissist, but you are a company making product for other people, not for yourself. If I say I wanted to make YouTube videos that I would watch, this is one thing completely different. I'm not selling this to people. If they want to join Patreon or throw me super chats, it's one thing completely different. If I was making something for somebody, as I am an artist, I do what they want. If somebody here commissioned me to draw Spider-Man, and I drew him like an Autobot, that's not what they wanted. And if I responded with, well, it's my interpretation and it's the one I would want. No, you mentally stunted idiot. That's not how this works.
Close, but it's still not the exact thing that we approved to go into production. But there was a certain part of like, we're done, here's your figures.
You could have changed that. You could have argued against it. You could have fought that. You chose not to.
Yeah. And we put them on a boat.
Sad thing is, Mark, they do. In some cases, they have some things called style guides. And they have to usually fight against that if they care about being accurate.
And then when they show up, they're like...
I think what people unfortunately have a mentality of, because they don't know how these things work, is that a corporation owns something and they know everything about it. I'll put it to you this way. The lost intro that Bushman here went HD with and took his sweet time, I do mean his sweet time because that man is a gem, HD upscaling, has never once had a copyright strike, copyright claim, or anything. You want to know why? Because Warner Brothers doesn't know they own it. They don't know they own anything about that. They don't know dick about this property. They just know that they own the license. The person over this, whoever that is, whatever sad, pathetic waste of a human being that just slings it out for way too much money, you could ask him, hey, who wrote the original laws the Thunderians operate in the UK comics? You know what he's going to say? What are you talking about? He has no idea. None.
Like, this doesn't match exactly what we had. And so there's sort of nothing I can do. It's like not like I can go back to the factory and say, hey, you need to replace these. They're like,
yeah, you could and should. Or does China not allow you to do that? Because I'm pretty sure they're very strict about their rules there. Now, Bushman might know better, and he could correct me. And if I am wrong, hey, he's my friend. I welcome that. Thank you, Ransom009, $20. For my job, I develop steel mold products. We do smaller orders than Super 7, and we can still get a new model made in 3 months, and we constantly get prototypes in for approval. All these excuses ring false to me. Thank you. Getting effed by a Chinese factory is not a new thing. Passing it on to your customer is not acceptable, man. Super 7 are not a middleman. Correct. Your company is on that packaging, Brian. Yours. Therefore, the responsibility is yours.
Like, we don't work with you guys. No.
Yeah.
You know,
poor baby. He's trying to make it like it's he's a victim of something. You're not a victim of anything other than your own stupidity and laziness.
I don't have a whole lot of leverage or recourse over anything. And so it just unfortunately becomes a thing of it is.
Cool. Here's what you should do. If you didn't have any leverage, you didn't have any control over it, discount them, sell that as is, do a new run. Like, I mean, heavy markdown, like $10, $15. Because if this is how you run your company, you're this woefully incompetent, you shouldn't be doing it. I genuinely hope that after I put my video out and I tell people what to do, that license is yanked right out under your feet. And I can get a lot of Thundercat fans mad at me about it because, oh, now we don't have new figures. I don't care. You want to know why I don't care? Because I would rather have a dog put down than one that continues to suffer half dead. I'm not a toy-addicted lunatic like some of these people are. Thundercats to me is the cartoon, the writers, the characters, and the stories. It is not by itself an action figure line.
And it's frustrating because, our goal isn't to make it incorrect.
Right.
And
if your goal wasn't to make it incorrect, then why have you made it incorrect with literally every single Thundercat figure? Every single one. And before I have some mentally stunted idiot come in here, well, I like this one. It's still wrong. It's still inaccurate, still incorrect. Because here's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to come in and say that. I'm going to tell them that they're wrong. I'm going to point out how they're wrong. And then they're going to try to switch it up. Well, nobody cares about that. Well, I'm fine with that. The point isn't whether or not you're fine with it. The point is Brian is wrong. And so are you.
When you get into a lot of these productions, because these are painted on assembly lines, when the sample I'm getting is painted, they paint all the parts at once and put it together and send it to me and said, this is what we're matching. I'm like, yep. When they put it onto the assembly line.
Now notice, earlier he said that his elbow pad is painted, or his elbow's painted. You didn't take a look at the original prototype or the hard copy, or even what's still to this day listed on Big Bad Toy Store and his website as how that figure is supposed to look. Doesn't care.
Line and deconstruct it all. That blue was not added on that line for whatever reason.
I had people tell me they bought the Thunder Tank while knowing it was overpriced and inaccurate because it was the only Thunder Tank that will ever be made. Just recently third-party companies are delving into Ninja Turtles. I literally have like the underground, whatever it's called, Underground Arsenal party wagon headed my way. That thing was $230. $230, $250, matching the price of NECA's. I do not buy that excuse anymore. I do not buy it. Third-party company makes a Thunder Tank, Brian's done. If a third-party company decided, you know what, we're going to make character-accurate action figures of Thundercats, we're going to make their vehicles and whatnot, even if they do it in the way Brian is to where they take pre-orders and make it to order. Even if they do that, Brian's done. Brian would be done.
I don't think ill-intentioned.
Right.
But I don't have a whole lot where I can go back to them and say, hey, you need to replace this part and send me, X amount of pieces. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Cool. Then you get a hold of whoever runs that factory and you report them to the government.
It's one of those things because you're right. We did talk about that factory, but when you compare it to, what I consider to be pretty quick turnaround time for the Cheetara correction.
Smith the Crow, the best place. Oddly enough, there's a whole bunch at Target right now still. You're going to have a hard time finding like some of the initial figures that were released because those are a few years old now, like 3 years. Their secondary market price is, of course, increased exponentially. But I vouch for their quality. Oddly enough, I like Super7's Ninja Turtle line for the most part. The limited articulation is still a pain, and they've done some really dumb decisions with the weapons. But overall, I like it, but that's the only line they've done that I do like.
That's with the factory that you're currently with where they're being produced now, right?
Yeah, and that was one of those things where it's just not right. We have to start over, retool everything, remake, and it's like, Yep, you're right. It's wrong. Let's fix it.
And you didn't. You didn't fix it. You didn't fix anything.
You have leverage because I'm still working with them. They do good work.
Right.
Not to say that the other factory doesn't do good work, but they were
doggone it.
might not. It's not over. It's not like they've tried to make it awful. Because like if you look at the Mumra,
That's with the factory that you're
I wanted to pause it. Yes, Venkman actually did. Super Happy Incredible Toys, the toy store that I go to for vintage stuff and whatnot when they have it in. They had not only the April, but also the Casey 2-pack I was missing. So, score. Finally got them.
currently with where they're being produced now, right?
Yeah, and that was one of those things where it's just not right. We have to start over, retool everything, remake, and it's like, yep, you're right, it's wrong. Let's fix it. You have leverage because I'm still working with them. They do good work.
Right.
Not to say that the other factory doesn't do good work, but they were done.
Right.
They clearly don't do good work because every time you put out a Thundercat line from them, it was garbage.
It's a drug out forever. This was a tiny little project that was annoying them and wouldn't go away. And it's not like I said, it's not like they tried to make it awful because
What? If this isn't them trying to make it awful, then I hate to see them try to make it awful. How do people have figures with missing parts, paint splotches all over the place, reversed parts, if they're not trying to make it awful? Why are you lying to your customers, Brian?
if you look at the Mumras or any of those other things, if you look at the part that isn't painted blue, if you look at everything else, you're like, this is a really great figure.
No, it's not. Mumra can't raise his arms all the way because you inhibited his movement. He has literally no neck. His sword is all sorts of goofed up. He's floppy in the hips. You gauged his bandages to somehow be thicker than his skirt, meaning that you have even more inhibited movement, and you glued the bandages on. It's not a great sculpt.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I don't know, it's sort of like going back to your girlfriend and being like, you owe me $20 from dinner a year ago. She's like, we broke up a year ago. Like,
Yeah.
No, it's not like that. Because the year ago where you went and you took your girlfriend out that's now not your girlfriend, you paid for the thing you got at that time. This is like you having reservations at a restaurant, paying for it up front, and then when you get there they say, well, we removed it. Well, we took your money anyways. You're making excuses and you're lying.
Yeah,
And more importantly, I'm tired of people on like the Thundercat side of things making excuses for this idiot. Buying into it and telling other people, well, it's the only Thundercat line out there, so I have to buy it. No, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy anything except for what you need to survive in terms of eating, sleeping, and having a roof over your head and a way to get to work. You do not have, there's not a single action figure you have to buy.
I'd heard some maybe suggestions that because it was supposed to be a paint sample, but I wonder.
Also, I want you guys to be aware that this was this Monday. Later on this week, without really addressing any of this publicly other than this stream, Brian did a teaser. Oh, we're going to get an LJN toy color accurate Mumra. Woo, be excited. Hype, hype, hype. Wonder if he's going to have backwards snakes on his helmet too.
Maybe even if there's like a piece to slide over there eventually or something instead. These are just things that.
Veebs, it's going to get a little vulgar here. You're a man. That arm that's not in frame, shove it down your pants and find your testicles. You're sitting here trying to stop on, maybe we can get a part later on. No, you should be looking this man in the eye and say, you need to fix this. Your company, your logo, your product, you took our money. What are you doing to fix this? If I took my vehicle to a mechanic and he changed the oil on it and didn't put the oil plug back in before I drove off and it destroys my engine, guess whose fault that is? His. Guess who has to replace it? Him. He does. Not the guy off to the side who handed him the oil pan to change out the oil. You dishonest lout. And you, Veebs, who sits there and enables this, you're worse than Brian. You know why you're worse than Brian? Because while Brian's lying to us, you know he is and you're letting him get away with it. You don't get to take your action figures to hell with you, Veebs. You don't get to take them with you.
That I've heard people kicking around out there in internet land as they consider it, you know.
I think the easy answer is to paint it, but I don't have that part. I don't have that tool.
How do you not have that tool when it's on the prototype? The hard copy. How do you not have it when it's on the hard copy? Either you're lying or you're stupid.
Right.
So I can't replace it. You know, because we've replaced a lot of parts over the years.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's not for lack of trying to get it right. It's just
No, it's absolutely for lack of trying to get it right because you don't care about input. You never cared about any of this.
crap happens. And I could be wrong, but I can't think of too many other toy companies that send out replacement parts.
Yeah. Yeah, me neither.
I'm not trying to play a card there, but just,
Yeah, you are.
you know, it's unfortunately.
Every single one of your competitors has parts available for replacement when a figure's not good. When they did Dino Thunder White Ranger for the Lightning Collection, the initial toy did not have the visor painted black outline where it's supposed to be. So you know what did Hasbro do? Did they say, well, that's just the factory, guys. Sorry, oopsie poopsie. We can't do anything about it. Ooh, woo, paint it yourself. No. What they did is say, hey, if you want this replaced, we'll replace it. And they sent you a brand new head with proper painting free. You're not the only factory that does it, and you trying to make excuses for why you're not doing it here is appalling.
The nature of this sometimes is it doesn't always work out 100% the way you want it to work out.
Your toy line works out 0% of the times it's supposed to be worked out. 0. Every single one of your toys has a fundamental flaw to it, either in the sculpting, the color, or the parts. Every single one. You idiots can't even get the color of the claw shield consistent throughout all the toys that sport it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a good, you know, spot where to say, okay, we're done with that factory now. and Series 5 though is in production. It said, I think on your update page that's you guys are at first deco samples received. So, you know, for something that was solicited back in, I want to say November, it seems like the pace of Series 5 is moving along pretty nicely.
Yeah. No,
Bet it's going to come out with a whole bunch of problems, especially in color, because none of it's accurate. I went over that in a different video. Brian, I know you watch my stuff because you've made comments to me, insulting me because you don't like how I do things. In that video, I handed you on a silver platter a model sheet and color guide done by Grimm that is cell accurate. So if these toys come out without that, I'm going to make fun of you. I'm not even just going to be regularly critical. I'm going to actively, openly mock you worse than I am here. When you are given something for free and you still don't utilize it to make a better product, at that point, you need to get out of this business. I genuinely hope sooner or later you do something just as foolish that causes all this to come crashing down on you. Stop making these toys if you're going to continue this way. Nobody cares.
everything moving forward is doing well. I mean, the crazier part is it's less about sampling.
Bushman says, all these reused parts on Thundercats and unique sculpts in other lines. I know my Thundercats are already paying for someone else's TMNT. At least they can do is make them good quality. Yeah, I 100% believe that, because here's the thing. Thundercats was announced first, then later on Ninja Turtles was announced. Guess what was delivered first? Ninja Turtles. Better quality, less QC issues, better sculpts, more accurate to what they were doing, because they're matching the Playmates toy line. I 100% believe, because Nickelodeon absolutely cares about what they own. It would not surprise me if in the license they have for Brian, he has to be on schedule. Has to be on schedule. Warner Brothers doesn't care. As long as you give them money, you can do whatever. Roar is a good example of that.
Getting ready to go, with everything going on in China, production lead times are getting longer. So like,
Yes, it's always an excuse. That's all you ever have for this line specifically. Do this to a turtle wave. I guarantee you'll have your throat out by the end of that. Because those people don't play. Those people are manic.
normally you'd say, oh, that's 2 months to produce a wave of ultimates. Now
They're going to be talking about it here pretty soon, Michael Bassett. They're going to be talking about the tank here pretty soon. We got a little bit left.
now it's, well, it might be an extra 2 to 3 weeks. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if you stack those on top of each other, this one's 2 weeks late. Well, the next one's going to be 4 weeks late. The next one's going to be, above your planned schedule. And then boat time is.
When I say care, I mean about the products they currently have in play. They may not care about one specific version of the Turtles in terms of DVD release, but they care about what they own as far as property goes. And they will protect it. Like, that's why they're so doggone obsessive on YouTube.
Just gone bonkers now. I mean, I know in the past we've talked about this being like 28 days was the standard. It was clockwork. And then it's like, oh, nowadays it's 60, 75. Right now, we have to assume everything is minimum 90 days on the water.
Wow.
And it's just like, so the same thing. I can be done with something. I can have something like right now. We're having discussions right now of like things that won't be here at Comic-Con because they haven't left on a boat yet.
Mm-hmm.
Or in some cases, things that won't be ready for New York Comic-Con.
Wow.
Because there's not enough time to get the boat and production finished because of something that's happening now where you're like, oh, this is 2 weeks behind schedule in March. Well, that 2 weeks now means I don't hit New York Comic-Con in October.
So it's the factory's fault again. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Because everything else is extended so far. So right now, if you're oversimplifying it at home, if you've got your, you're at the baseball
My fingers.
game.
I'm going to count on my fingers.
And if you figure, I've got a perfect finished sample ready to go into production. It is 2.5 months minimum right now on making an ultimate, plus 90 days on water. Then I got to receive it and whatever. It's like from the moment I have a finished product ready to go.
So it should be 6 months turnaround. So why is this taking years?
It's not going to hit my warehouse for 6 months.
Wow.
Again, so why is it taking years? Matter of fact, let me double check something out. I'm curious about something. Wave 5 of the Ninja Turtles Ultimates. So we might actually see some big kickback here. Wave 5 of the Ninja Turtles Ultimates that has Ray Fillet, Samurai Leo, which him and Krang actually want to get, and Leatherhead, who for some reason they gave human teeth to because Brian's too stupid to know how toy detail works, was announced April 27th, 2021. So why is it 6 months late, Brian? Months, not weeks, months.
Crazy. So it'd be like, same thing. We're talking about it now going, okay, it's essentially for math, May 1. That means if I ship it today, if I start it today, I can't have it in the warehouse till November 1.
Wow.
And you still don't.
And it's just like that's the part where you're like, oh my God, this used to be if I finished it today, I could have it. If I really pushed, we might be able to have it for Comic-Con.
Right.
And now it's like, no, it's November.
And I would imagine, because I mean, sometimes with like things like Ultimates, it's like they ship when they're ready to go. But for the time, with things that need to be timed a little bit more precisely to events, I mean, that has to take a while to be able to like even bake into how you guys move your schedule from the very, very start of like from ideation on,
Well,
right?
that best laid plans of mice and men, right?
Uh-huh.
You've grid it all out a year plus in advance. You know when you have to hit all the deadlines, but a licensor might not approve something on time.
Volcanic, we're literally responding to this. You should be able to tell context clues by the name of the stream and what I'm looking at here.
Something
Oh, you're talking about SD. I'm sorry. I don't know why I missed that.
else happens. Things drag out. That. There's a million variables, and all of a sudden you're like, we're going to miss Comic-Con? This sucks.
Well, and then let me be the consummate I'll say butthead. I can think of another word, and listen to the struggles of this, and then turn around and ask you about like one of the most complicated pieces that you're probably working on is the Thunder Tank.
Yes, apparently asking about where the product you paid for is now being a butthole. Fantastic.
Right now as well, and just how is that moving along? I know Josh shared a video a little bit ago now, but it looked like things were moving, well.
Yeah, it's moving along well. It hasn't gone into production yet. We haven't have a final sample yet, but it's moving along really, really well.
That was announced over a year ago, and they don't have a final product sample yet. A year. New factory, by the way. This is a new factory. Still nothing. Where's your excuse, Brian? What is it? What is it this time? Come on, boy. Come on. What's your excuse?
All that one and the Party Wagon are both cruising along in good time.
I wonder if the Party Wagon's going to come out first. By the way, one of Brian's excuses for why the Thunder Tank is so expensive is because he's not going to sell as many of those. Because Thundercat fans are a smaller group, which is not incorrect. He is 100% accurate on that. We are a very relatively small fandom. What's your excuse for the Party Wagon, Brian? Don't try to tell me the Ninja Turtle fandom is small. We both know that's wrong. We both know, like, if the Ninja Turtle fandom, like, decided to take up arms and wipe out, like, the Star Wars and Transformer fandom, they'd have a fight on their hands. Don't try to play that game with me on this one. You lied about one thing or you lied about the other. And don't even try to come at me with it. Well, licensor, Ninja Turtle licensor, I can almost promise you, is cheaper than Thundercats. You want to know why I can promise that? Because 4 companies are currently doing Ninja Turtle toys. 4.
The question will just come back down to, okay, once we hit go, how long is it going to take?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward, obviously, to Thundercats is a big line for a lot of people, so
you don't care about Thundercats.
We'll be seeing more of that very soon. But I wanted to pivot.
Veebs, get his dick out of your mouth. Get his dick out of your mouth. And I know somebody could say, well, you're not being nice. I'm not obligated to be nice to these people. I'm not. I'm sorry, but I'm not. Let's see if I can find that Instagram post. Haha. So I'm going to bring something up here. Gotta find it first. Whoop. Instagram! Before we go into the other thing. This is the Cheetara that Brian showed on his Instagram by holding it in the hand. This is what we're going to get. Right there. This is the copy shown on pre-sale. The eyes are not as sharp. The hair is not as sculpted well. It is missing some spots. And if you'll notice here properly, the color differentiation to simulate a cheetah's fur color is present here. It's not here. It's not here. This is what we're getting. What I'm circling with my mouse on the left-hand side is what we're getting. On the right-hand side is what we were promised. Let me see if I can find a better comparison picture. Because somebody did a full body comparison picture. Just give it a minute, folks. It's probably on Facebook, and that's not the point. Let me see here. Guess you cannot sort things on Instagram, so I guess I'll have to go to Facebook. Sorry, it's going to take me a minute to find the right post. Here we go. So, as some of you can see, there's a definite difference in the body sculpt too. Now, initially, the one on the left, which is the prototype or the shown image, and the one on the left, or the one on the right is the final copy that we're getting in hand. The one on the left is the prototype version. Now, the prototype version has a massive thigh gap, shouldn't be there. And first he tried to do the whole, you shouldn't be commenting on women's bodies. You don't know how women's bodies works. And now it's, well, he fixed the gap. Yeah, he fixed the gap. But look what you did. You destroyed the definition from the bust to hip weight ratio. You removed the definition that you put on the stomach. Because I guarantee you, this is just flappy material. This isn't like solid sculpt. You've got a massive seam line coming down on her arm. This does not look as polished as this one. All you had to do is correct the hips. You didn't correct the hips. You just destroyed the rest of the figure. So tell me, this character, by the way, is Cheetara, implying she runs with a limited articulation, so you're not going to get her in a decent running pose. This is $55. This man wants $55 for this. Look how bad that is. Somebody previously said that this is false advertising. At this point, I can't argue against that. This is absolutely false advertising. This is not what you're getting. Now, you can say colors may vary and all that, but you know what the difference between product may vary and this? Transparency. Transparency. So, what we're going to do right now is I'm going to turn this off temporarily so I can close all that out. Don't need that. Don't need that. And now we're going to get into the part where they do a video about, ooh, Cheetara's coming. Be excited. Hype, 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 hype. So. Lio is actually known a woman have these toy makers. Apparently not. So let's look at this one. Ooh, Thunder decal. Ah, we're smart.
Hello, Internet. Josh from Super7 here, once again to talk with you about...
This is the vice president of design. This dude is an idiot too. Because if I was the vice president of design and we put this out, I'd fire myself.
Thundercats Ultimates, Wave 3. Oh, is it? Could it
You're not clever and we're not 5. This isn't Dora the Explorer, you half-wit.
be? Oh, it's Cheetara at last. She comes with every...
Do they have a 5-year-old edit their videos? Because I'm in my 30s. I don't need this.
everything you remember from Thundercats Wave 3. She's got the head,
Except for a decent body sculpt. And face sculpt. And paint applications.
the hands, the staff, the mirror, everything, the locket, you name
That is not a $55 toy. That's a $20 toy.
it. She's got it. And just because you've been so patient and so very nice, we have included a bonus special head for you right here. That is...
This character's not going to have any head pivot up and down, is she? Unsubscribe. I mean, I'm not subscribed to them to begin with.
The glowing eyes, glows in the dark eyes from which he
Thundercat's eyes are not known for glowing in the dark.
hears the call.
Yeah, like I said, you're not clever. Nobody's amused by this. This isn't cute. And the whole, well, we're going to give you a head that glows in the dark. Nobody's asking for glow-in-the-dark parts for Thundercats, you idiot. The eyes light up. It's supernatural. It's not, well, they glow in the dark. Super 7 likes to throw down on everything they've got because it makes them feel giddy. Because I guess the VP of design and Brian, I don't know, they pleasure themselves by looking at glow-in-the-dark stuff. Dude, you're stupid. Thank you, Pool Guy, for the $20 super chat. Pingus, correct.
Thundercats Ultimates Wave 3 Cheetara coming your way. As always, thank you very much, and thank you for your patience.
Now, this dude is hyping up the Cheetara without taking it out of the package, without showing us anything about his details, about his paint job. There's a reason for that. Matter of fact, the fact that people were calling that out is what made Brian post the Cheetara in hand that we just looked at. And it backfired on him. As it should. I hope this kills this company, or at least removes their license for this brand. Because they don't deserve it. This is how they're treating this. And I know a lot of people don't like the fact that I'm mean, and I say mean things about these poor widow people who take your money and don't give you what you ask for, or what they promised. I'm so sorry that hurts your feelings. My point is this: if they don't care, they shouldn't be involved in it. They should not be involved in it. And they're not only that, they're also asking for our money and getting it years ahead of time. Years. To give us this. To give us this. Wait for my Wave 2 review. I'm going to tell everybody exactly what they can do to fix this problem. Either it'll fix it or it'll make Brian so mad he stops. Maybe he'll listen. I doubt it. Maybe, though. Just maybe. But that's all I've got for tonight. So thank you all for joining me. I had fun tearing into this, despite people who are going to see this thing, you're being too angry. I enjoy tearing into idiots. It's a pleasure to me. Because it's obvious nobody else has. McFarlane Toys, for all their flaws, should have been making Thundercats action figures instead of Brian. Anybody could do a better job at this point. Whoever's doing Final Faction could do a better job of Thundercats, and they sell figures for like $1.10. Depends on which line of toys. There's a couple Mortal Kombat lines. One I think is done by McFarlane. Storm Collectibles. I would love for Storm Collectibles to do it. You're not being mean enough considering this video is telling us, wait for my Wave 2 review. Wait for it. Matter of fact, I need to talk to somebody about that whole subpar 7 thing. Maybe we can get something going on that. But that's going to be it for tonight. I'll stream again either tomorrow or Sunday, depending on if I get a video out tomorrow. We're going to cover some bad Ninja Turtle takes. And by bad Ninja Turtle takes, we're going to cover a Mr. Enter video, since people are really receptive to that. And something else. Something else. It's going to be special. Very, very special. But you guys have a good night. Feel free to join my server if you want to, if you're bored and want to chat. And I will see you guys